Don't mind me. I was, just going to check if the refrigerator was closed. Yep, it sure is. Okay, I'm coming. This one opened in the style of a typical Japanese documentary and featured the girls doing good deeds as if to parallel Miko's little propaganda piece from the previous episode by actually making the girls look good. Granted, it was done through the power of some very forced PSAs about manners, like Momoko encouraging not to jaywalk even though she could just fly above the traffic lights. Then again, this wasn't the worst example of a superhero PSA I've ever seen.
Not so fast, nicotine. If you want to go up fast, take one of these!
Remember kids, if a guy offers you some cigs, murder the bastard. So says Superman. Red Sun version, judging by that accent. More than anything though, it was meant to score the mayor some brownie points ahead of his re-election. I almost want to see this show's version of the character in the Mayor Fuzzy episode, but yeah, let's not open up that can of worms. Anyway, as a part of his campaign, he also wanted them to appear at a rally he was holding, and as shady as a politician as this dude is, I will say he at least walks better than our recent leaders. Still, if they wanted to set a good example for everyone, they needed some clean clothes. Thus, they asked the prof to wash their suits for them, which was probably a bit of a mistake, as he took the opportunity to examine them. Utonium, you first might want to turn off the screensaver function on your little telescope there. He also went full Etna mode and also tested their durability and flexibility by... Poor child is in denial. Unfortunately, they lacked the newest feature of being machine washable, so he had to hang them out to dry. And this left them wide open to be taken by...
Oh, my favorite.
Okay, so first of all, this episode was likely based on Powerpuff Bluff, in which some normal street thugs managed to impersonate the girls with some very obvious costumes that, for whatever reason, were in their jail cell. As a result, they managed to get away with a lot under the guise that they were the girls. And I'll be perfectly honest, I never really liked that episode. Yeah, I know it's blasphemous to speak ill of some classic OG episodes, especially one of the very first episodes, but I'm sorry, this episode was just dumb. I get that's part of the joke, hence why the absurdity of there just happening to be adult-sized Powerpuff costumes in a prison cell, and nobody, other than Miss Bellum, could tell that they were imposters, but they stretched the joke way too far for my taste. Not to mention, again, they were just street-level thugs, so there was absolutely no real threat to them, hence why this final showdown was just kind of more eye-rolling than anything else. I think about the only good thing that came out of it were some legit hilarious cosplays. Thus, I think this story could only improve on it, which they actually do in areas which we will point out. Also, it is worth mentioning that the inverse of this situation played out in a season 5 episode when Bubbles posed as Boomer to spy on the boys. I don't think that episode influenced this one, at least not as much as that season 1 episode, but it was worth bringing up. Anyway, the girls tried to get their clothes back, but they seem to be resistant to their attacks, which makes sense, as they're all products of the white light, so they shouldn't damage each other to reduce friendly fire and recoil damage, and goddammit, they're flinging boogers. As a result, they also managed to take their weapons, so the girls were left almost powerless to do anything. Fortunately, Utonium had been designing some spare suits for them. Okay, so we all know where this is going. He's going to give them some embarrassing clothes for them and us to all cringe at, and... Oh, well, I actually kind of like those better. I mean, they're just slick and pretty unique, whilst also calling back to the OG a little more than even their usual clothes. Kaoru especially liked them because, as established, she doesn't like girly clothes, in a nice little callback. The prof referred to them as ninja clothes, in that they had a ton of kind of useless tech weaponry, which I guess is a thing if you wear a purple bandana. And hey, as long as it doesn't force them to do some stupid and impractical run, then I think we're all good. Meanwhile, the boys, in a legit funny sequence, did the inverse of all of the good deeds from the beginning of the episode, causing all kinds of chaos, except for maybe Boomer. He's not saying anything wrong. and they managed to successfully impersonate the girls, which does make a little more sense here than it did in the OG. Not only did they already have similar faces, but they were also at that physical age when boys and girls have similar builds, as opposed to 3 kindergartners against 3 grown men. Sure, people who actually know them, like the mayor, should be able to tell the difference, but then again, this is the mayor we're talking about. Anyway, the girls managed to crash the rally, and just as I praised it making sense that the boys could reasonably pull off looking like the girls, they kind of ruined it by having the audience side with the boys based solely on the fact that they were wearing the right clothes. Again, I get that it's being played up for quote-unquote laughs, but if they can't even use their weapons properly, then they're starting to stretch it. Still, the girls weren't giving up, and in admittedly a clever bit, they posed as stagehands and forced them to play a game of musical chairs with the mayor, where the loser would have to change clothes. Only problem was, of course, the mayor, though at least this year was getting some much-deserved karma, so this was at least a pretty funny scene. As was the following scene when they tried to fish their clothes back. Alright, now this guy's starting to look like a real politician. Fortunately, they did eventually get an opening to take back their identities when... God damn it, movie! You killed the fart joke! Having effectively used every Girlz gag in the book to ruin the girls' name, the boys tried to escape. And this led into, honestly, a really good flying chase sequence. Yeah, no real joke here, this is one of the best superhero flying sequences I've ever seen in a TV anime, as they actually managed to create some good and believable perspective shots and some very realistic cloud physics. The fact that it eventually led to the girls almost staying right into the ground was some good attention to detail. Hell, for as disgusting as the boys' attacks were, the resulting fight was pretty good, if only for some good old Super Robot references. Huh, could have sworn I put in a Great Mazinger clip there. I wonder where that came from. However, even when they tried to throw everything at them, their suits managed to tank their attacks. Left with no other options, all seemed lost until they started to use some good old reverse psychology and called the cross-dressing boys cute. Well, actually, Kaoru and Momoko were using reverse, while Miyako was likely being serious. I mean, she's not wrong. Legit, we stand for femboys in this household, and I will not hear otherwise. However, understandably, not wanting to be in the middle of a Twitter debate, the boys stripped down to their tight whities. With that, the episode ended with the girls having gotten their clothes back, but now needing to deal with the PTA over their new finisher. This could have been worse, and yeah, I know that makes it sound like it was a horrible episode, but hear me out. Yes, as usual, the RRB's antics were gross and got very grating very quickly, but compared to their debut episode, it wasn't as bad, and there were some good sequences and interesting ideas here, like the girls' ninja suit. I'm not saying it was great or even that good of an episode, but I at least liked it better than the OG Imposter episode. Truth be told, I actually do have a higher tolerance for gross-out humor, kind of comes with being a kid of the 90s, and at least to this episode's credit, it wasn't as bad as the boys' debut episode. They did at least get in one solid joke, and some of the antics that resulted from their actions were also pretty funny. Not to mention, there were other good jokes sprinkled throughout, like Utonium going into an overextended explanation of his ninja suits. Said suits were pretty awesome, and a definite step above a certain recent Sentai I can think of. Ironic, considering the showrunner of Ninja wrote this episode. But yeah, much like that show, there was still quite a bit of juvenile humor to overcome before they could actually get to some pretty good action. Again, that flight sequence was almost anime film worthy with how well detailed and laid out it was. Not to mention, the resulting fight and how the girls defeated their imposters was pretty fun. And again, I do have to praise when they managed to take one of my least favorite first episodes of the OG series and made it pretty good at least. This show's version of the Rai Rough Boys were a definite miss, but at the very least, they did result in some fun moments for this series, and good fashion statements across the board. Ninjas might be a little passe, but femboys will always be a thing in my books. Work on the last part of the Yu-Gi-Oh! Openings ranking video is going well, so hopefully we should have something up by the end of the month. Things are definitely gonna start picking up now that some of the bigger projects for this channel are on the back burner. I mean, we're still gonna do some longer form content too, but we'll take it one step at a time. Still, do look forward to all of that. Until then though, for now my friends, and what's this?
石垣やお屋敷の堀には忍び返しと
There's no secret ingredient, that's all you really need to say.